Hey, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing alright. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're catching the video. Woo! Story time today. I want to tell you about how I got into the spiritual journey, and it's crazy. It's crazy the one experience that got me into the spiritual journey. So, like most people, maybe like you watching, I was born into a Christian family, And one thing I can say, as a child, I always had questions. I always had questions and questioned the deeper meaning of stuff and stuff that didn't make sense. And I was told, hey, don't question God. You don't question God. You know how it is. If you grew up Christian, you know how people do. But I just was like, God, I got questions. So I always felt anxiety. And if I'm being real, my first anxiety came from me wanting to understand God and wanting to understand the world and why things were the way they were. And if I was going to hell because I had questions. So when I was about 15 years old, sleep paralysis. I experienced sleep paralysis. That's what did it for me. I was 15 years old. I woke up one night. And you know how when you wake up and you still kind of sleep. You still sleep, but you woke, but you can move anytime, but you just you wake up, you're still resting, but you're up. This was different. For my people who have also experienced sleep paralysis, you know what I'm talking about. So I woke up, right? And I went to move, and I couldn't move. I couldn't move my body. And I was stuck. And I remember sitting there panicky, wanted to scream. I couldn't scream. And I was very, very anxious. But I was very sensitive. I felt the presence around me. I felt something around me. I knew something was around me. And I was just panicky, scared as fuck. I'm looking in my room. I'm looking out. My computer screen is on. And it's a blue screen on my computer screen. And I'm just looking. I'm in the dark room, seeing the blue light reflected across the room. And I'm sitting there stuck. And then at some point, it's like I bounce up. And then when I bounced up, literally, y'all, something threw my head like this. I felt something throw my head like that. And when I say, that experience spooked the fuck out of me. I couldn't sleep for damn near two weeks after that. Not really get quality rest. But that made me have questions that nobody around me could answer. I was asking, I asked people who was real devout in my family, who was religious, super religious. I shared that experience with them. I was asking everybody about it, and it's people couldn't give me any type of satisfying answer, on what the fuck had happened to me. And so, from there I started going down the rabbit hole, sleep paralysis, and then out-of-body experiences. Then that led to astral plane, and that led to spirit guides, and that led to crystal children, and that I was like, I can relate to the crystal children. What is this? Indigo children. All of this deviates from what I had grew up learning. And I'm like, bro, whoa. And my experience just exploded. And after so long, I felt guilty on that journey, going down that journey, because it wasn't really anybody around me that resonated with those things or even was on that type of shit. Everybody was too afraid to step outside of Christianity. So as I started looking into this stuff, a lot of years I spent I felt a lot of guilt until I started really recognizing that it wasn't that I was deviating from truth. I was seeking truth. I was looking for things that resonated with my soul and didn't even know. And a lot of people are. I made a video a little while ago talking about when spirit, source, or God calls you closer. At some point, as a people, we have to realize that just because you learn something about someone, that don't mean you know them. Just because we learn about God, just because a religion introduced us to things outside of the physical, that does not mean that it knows the rules and the completeness of what that thing is. And once we make that contact ourselves, then a relationship can develop, and we can begin to understand things that may not have even existed to our psyche, to our perception before then. But that doesn't mean that it's not a factor and it's not real. So I ain't gonna go too deep into that, but I feel like that was a moment that the universe and the spirit was calling me closer. God was calling me closer, and that was a very lonely, crazy path. But that was like I was 15 years old, so maybe that was 2008, 2009. These type of things, even though they was out there, they wouldn't really accept it like they are now. Now it's a trend, you know what I'm saying? But it's just funny how things work. But that's the video. I just want to share with you like what really got me, what really started me going down that rabbit hole. But if you're comfortable, let me know what put you on the spiritual journey. And if you still Christian, or you in a religion, what brought you to that? It's not no particular way that you have to be, but what really made you start looking deeper? Because I know a lot of people on this channel actually do think for themselves, are more spiritual based, more seeking truth. So what is it that really got you on the path? I'm really curious to know. But with that being said, that's the video. So whether you are having a good day or if you have a rough day, whether you're struggling to make ends meet or you're at the pinnacle of your success, either way, the greatest place that you could come from is right where you are. Not perfect, just real. All right? I wish you peace, love, and abundance every single day, especially on the days that it rains. And with that being said, signing out. Peace.